Hey guys, David Essel here, pulling over once again to do one of our vignettes on the road. The question, this is a big one. We're going to be doing a whole series on, are we lemmings or leaders? And today, this is very controversial. Are we lemmings in the world of treatment of alcoholism, or are we leaders? And this is very big, very deep. You know, for a number of years, many people have followed the whole dictum that alcoholism is a disease, and once you have a disease, man, bless your heart, but you're stuck with it for life, and the treatment protocols are minimal, and the percentage of success rate is 10%. And I'm going to go on and back up all this stuff. In 2000, I think it was, a genome was found for alcoholism, which said, yes, alcoholism is a disease. And I struggle with that. I call it the quasi-disease. And I know in 10 or 20 or 30 years, there'll be a lot of people just like me, professionals in the world of helping people with all addictions, alcoholism being one, that will back what I'm saying. And there's people right now, I'm not the only one, but we're in the minority, there's no doubt. So what's the problem with looking at alcoholism as a true disease versus what I believe it is? It's a quasi-disease. Well, the true disease, to me, states that it has a genetic background, which alcoholism does. This is just the generic definition of disease, and that there's really nothing that you can do about it other than hope that some form of medical treatment or spiritual intervention or something lifts it from you. Instant healing, spontaneous healing of a disease is what we're talking about. When we look at alcoholism as a pure disease like cystic fibrosis, we could say, oh my gosh, the poor chap, the poor girl, the poor man, the poor woman is stuck. It's a genetic link. I have a very strong genetic line for alcoholism. I'm in recovery. And I've been helping people recover for 20 years. And if this was true, that alcoholism was a pure disease like a cystic fibrosis, then you'd say, you know, let's do the best we can and hope for a miracle and use the treatments available. But that's not the way it is with alcoholism. Alcoholism is a quasi-disease, meaning that unless the individual ingests the subject, there is no disease. That's why it's not like a cystic fibrosis patient can wake up in the morning and not consume a certain item and they don't have cystic fibrosis. But with alcoholism, that's why I'm so frustrated with the industry that is working on principles and treatment programs that are 30, 40, 50, 60 years old that don't work. Oh my God. So number one, alcoholism is not the true definition of a disease. Now, what's the problem when we say alcoholism is a true disease like cystic fibrosis? Well, people say there's nothing I can do about it. They use it as a scapegoat. Well, you know, it's a gene. I have the gene. Look at my aunt, my uncle, my mother, my father, my grandparents, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so they have a foot out the door. You know, it's like, well, if I drink, it's not my fault. I have a disease. I have an allergy, for God's sake. That's the other big one. I have an allergy to, listen, whether it's a genetic disease predisposed, more that the only way that the allergy can be inflamed, the only way the disease can take hold is if we drink. If you don't drink, and if you do certain personal growth steps like accountability and looking at our self-centeredness and all those other kind of things, guess what? The disease doesn't exist. Isn't that amazing? When I went into treatment at a very expensive center, 3 days in detox, I go and join the general population, as we call it, and we sit in front of the medical director, a doctor, the medical director of this very, very successful, very expensive facility called the Hanley Center in West Palm Beach. The medical director stood up and said, hey, listen, 10% of you will be sober in a year. That's it. 10%. And those statistics haven't changed in like 40 years. 12-step can be effective for some people, but it's not effective for everyone. And as a matter of fact, if you look at the statistics of success of people that go to 12-step programs at the end of 12 months, everything I've seen is that it's no greater than 10% of people who consistently go to meetings and don't drink for 12 months. People that spend thousands and thousands of dollars at treatment centers, at the end of a year, 10% of them are sober. That means 90% go out. Doesn't that tell us that there's something wrong with the treatment? Not only are we calling it a disease and giving people an out in case they do drink, well, it's a disease. That's why I got hammered last night. Hell no, it's a disease because you chose to drink. The success rate with our program that I lead myself is about 50% over the past 20 years. It's massively different than 10%. We could be much, much better, but one of the problems that all the clients that I work with have to overcome is this concept: I have a disease, David, I have an allergy, David. So that's why last week when I drank, it really wasn't my fault. I hope that the series that we're doing, are we lemmings or are we leaders? The lemmings continue to follow programs that have been established for 40, 50, 60, 70 years in the treatment of alcoholism that purely don't work. And if you're a teacher of addiction recovery, or you're a counselor, or you're an MD, and you're still hanging on to the thread of things 40, 50, 60 years of age, then you're a lemming. And I don't say that with judgment, I'm just being factual. If you're a leader, you're doing different things. In our program, go to talkdavid.com and check out our holistic addiction recovery program. We cover every area. I'm not going to go into it in detail now, but we're successful because we do it differently. Don't be a lemming anymore. And for you who are watching this that have a loved one who's an alcoholic, or maybe you're an alcoholic or extremely alcoholic dependent, don't follow traditional programs that don't work. Seek something new, different. Be a leader. Don't be a lemming. Just because a program worked for a friend of yours doesn't mean it's going to work for you. But you have to stop drinking. Don't use the excuse of an allergy or a genetic disorder, a disease, as a reason to drink. If you don't drink, you can start to heal. I know that sounds so logical. Hey, listen, be a leader, not a lemming, okay? Join this YouTube channel. We're going to have a lot of stuff. Some of it's controversial. A lot of people watching it right now may not like me. That's okay. You don't have to. Years from now, you're going to find out that we're true. I'm not being arrogant. It's just real. I had to go through it myself. I didn't heal the traditional way. I had to do a whole bunch of different things in order to get clean and sober. And the happiness that comes is really quite profound if you work it every day. But to me, the traditional route did not work. The treatment center was awesome, but that's 30 days of your life. What are you going to do the next 11 months? That was the big question for me. We have a lot of free videos at our website, talkdavid.com. Of course, join the YouTube channel, go to the website, get all kinds of free books and everything else, okay? My heart is with you. My love is with you. You can do it. Have a great day.